you are too different, you're likely to be taken away by the Inquisition and interrogated.
Or burned at the stake.
Yes, indeed. So I think there is a possibility that someone was plunged back into the past, and maybe not necessarily physically, but we talked earlier in the show about astral bodies. Maybe it's somebody's astral body, his non-physical mind, that suddenly finds itself occupying a body from 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago. And you think, wow, what am I going to do here? I'm living in 1432 and I just left 2008.
That's a good point. And
of course, one of the other, I think, very interesting little ideas before we finish with time travel is people like the Count of Saint Germain, who seem to be able, if we're to believe the stories about him, to step in and out of time. He was at a soiree in Paris, and an elderly lady in her 80s, came across to him and said, "You are the Count of Saint Germain. I knew you in Vienna when I was a young girl, and you still look the same age."
The same. He hasn't changed.
You hadn't changed. And he smiled and said, "I remember you. And when we danced together, and you were a beautiful teenager, you were the loveliest girl at the dance." And she just went back and sat down and thought, wow. So is it possible that some people like him, because the Count of Saint Germain, if we're to believe the legends and the stories about him, was immensely clever in many other areas. He had a very advanced technology. Where he came from, who knows? But he seems to have had the ability to step in and out of time, and maybe that's the best form of time travel.
If you could travel back in the time, where would you go?
Wow, lovely thought. Should we say the part of me which loves the kind of discussion we're having now would, I think, be pretty happy with Socrates and the other, and Plato and the Greek philosophers. So maybe I'd like to be one of the humble young disciples listening to Socrates and just putting an odd word in now and again as I learned.
I could just see you dressed up in Greek garb.
Yeah. It would be fun.
I would go back to the biblical days of Jesus.
Right.
I would want to be able to witness some of those events.
That would
all
be
of
fantastic.
them, all of them, from the miracles to the crucifixion. I'd want to just be a witness there, Lionel.
Yes.
You know what would be interesting, though, is what would keep you from getting involved?
Oh, there's the thought. You'd want to be with him and helping him and
pull the cross with him and maybe get him out of there.
You would.
I bet he wouldn't go.
No, that was that very special destiny that he knew he had to do, and I would, I think, have been rather like Peter and have tried to intervene in the garden. Your first reaction would be, "I'm not having my beloved leader arrested. Come on, I'll take you." And then, at the same time, because we're all human and fallible, just as Peter was afraid when somebody said, "Here, you're one of his followers," and Peter denied him and was then, of course, forgiven and brought back into the fold and did wonderful work for the early church. Yes, it would have been an amazing time to live, and you said you'd want to be involved. That goodness would attract you like a magnet, and you'd want to say, "I want to be this. I want to be with this man. I want to be a disciple, however humble, however far down the ranks. I'm not going to be one of the church fathers. I'm not going to be a saint, but I will at least do my best."
If you could go into the future, how far out would you go? What would you want to see?
Wow. Well, I think...
See, that's a tough one. That's not as easy as going back into the past to witness events we've already heard about.
Yeah, suppose that we could. I'm very, very fond of my grandchildren, as every grandparent is, and I would like to be able to watch them go through. I hope I'm going to be around when it happens, without going any time travel. But I would want to be able to see their success. I'd want to see their happiness. I'd want to see the young people that I have known and loved as children as happy adults. I'd want to see them way on into their retirement. That would be good. I'd also like to go on into a future where, as we've been thinking about technology and time travel, where we have really made enormous advances. I'd want to look at a moment when we were into space, when we are colonizing other planets, rather like the Star Trek adventures. I would like to boldly go where nobody else has been.
And off you would go.
Yeah, I'd certainly like to try it.
Lionel, we'll just take a few minutes before the break, and then we'll come back with the mysteries and secrets of voodoo. Tell us a little bit about what you're working on in the future.
Right. Well, the book that we're working on at the moment is the Secrets and Mysteries of Undiscovered Treasures, and I think it's something that very dear to all our hearts as to what happened to various valuable things. And the case that comes straight to my mind is our King John of England in the guy who signed the Magna Carta in 1215, and as he was trying to escape from his enemies, he went round an area of the coast, or his baggage train did. John went the other way, kept out of the marshes, but his baggage train, carrying the English crown jewels, tried to take a short cut across a muddy, marshy bay called the Wash, and they didn't make it. So somewhere under the mud in the north of Norfolk, not far from King's Lynn, are the crown jewels from the 13th century, and they're still down there. So that would be one of the areas that a treasure hunter could look for. And, of course, lots of other treasures have been lost. Another one is the Queen, the early British Queen, the one I call Boadicea, but which some historians call Boudica. She was queen of the Iceni tribe, again from where I came from in East Anglia, and she had a great battle with the Romans. She won at first, and then she lost, and undoubtedly she buried the royal treasure of the Iceni tribe before the Romans could get to her. And somewhere down that east coast area of Britain, somewhere between, shall we say, London and King's Lynn or Lincolnshire, the treasure of Queen Boadicea is hidden. And that would be not only for its monetary value, but for its historical value.
I would love to see you two discover the Ark of the Covenant.
Wow, that I would love to do as well. And maybe Axum in Ethiopia could be one of the places to look.
That's possible.
Yeah, it's a very, very great mystery, and I would love to do an Indiana Jones on that.
How's Pat doing?
Sorry?
How's Patricia?
Oh, she's absolutely fine. Yeah, she's great. She's, when I had this hospital problem, she is so loyal, so loving. She was there every day, even though it meant 150-mile journey down to Paddington.
She is one of the best.
She's a terrific lady. I couldn't be. We just celebrated 51 years of marriage.
Well, congratulations, my friend. Let's come back now and talk about the mysteries and secrets of voodoo. We'll be right back. Way out there, Mysteries and Secrets of Voodoo with Lionel Fanthorpe, next on Coast to Coast AM. Now, Lionel, your latest book here deals with your investigations into very strange, magical, mysterious religions like Voodoo, Santeria. Tell me a little bit about the beginnings of these.
Well, it originated, I think all of these mystery religions originated in Africa many centuries ago. And when we look at the most ancient sites there, places like the Blombos Cave and the Olduvai Gorge, the earliest burials, going back thousands of years, show the beginnings of religious beliefs, because we can learn a lot about a religious belief, a religious set of ideas, from the way that they cared for their dead. Now, in those days, the Sahara was not a desert. And so ideas from what we now call sub-Saharan